Good morning. Except it's not morning again, because again, I am in school tomorrow. So I am recording this for you. Hopefully I've got my settings correct. Hopefully it will still go out at 10 o'clock in the morning. But unfortunately, I will be in the classroom tomorrow, so I won't be able to contribute to any of the live chat. However, every other aspect of the lesson is going to be the same. And then next week, most days, I will be able to do a live lesson as usual. Let's get started. Remember, 2 pens, one's a different colour, a ruler, a notebook, preferably with squared paper, a ruler, so you can draw a margin. You can write those numbers down 1 to 10 for each of the 3 parts of the questions that we're going to be doing. And you're going to be setting out your work really, really neatly. Okay, so you know all that. You know what I'm going to say next. I need your brain, your focus, your motivation, half an hour of hard work every weekday, Monday to Friday, and we're good to go. Okay, so you know about the 10 by 10 grid. I'm not going to show you that now, but I will just pop it up right at the end of the video if you do still need to take a note of it. So let's get started. I'm going to save my shout outs for Monday when we're all back watching live again. So I'm rolling those over for Monday. So apologies if you have contacted me and I've not yet had the opportunity to read out your name. So let's start by just running through the answers to yesterday's questions. Okay. So we had 5 questions that were set as your review questions. The answer to question 1, the cube root of 512. I've forgotten to take my piece of paper away to reveal the answer. 12 is 8. The lowest common multiple of 18 and 10 is 90. 5 1/4 plus 3 3/5 is 8 and 17 over 20. 17.5% of £760 is £133. Oh, now we've got a really long question here. A plank of wood, is that all different lengths? Piece A is 20 centimetres longer than piece B, and piece C is 200 millimetres shorter than piece B. So we need to work out how long each piece is. A was 60 centimetres, B was 40 and C was 20. And I will explain a similar question on the board for you today. Okay, we're going to get started with today's questions. You have 2 minutes. Let's get started. Thirty seconds left. Okay, moving on to part 2. Seconds to go. Moving on to part 3. Seconds remaining. Okay, time's up. Let's take a look at the answer. Part 1. Okay, we're listing the prime numbers between 30 and 40. Just a little tip on this. I would just write out all the odd numbers, 31, 33, 35, 37, and 39. And then I would cross out all the ones that are not a prime number. So 33, I would cross out because 3 multiplied by 11 gives me 33. 35, obviously, I would cross out. It's in the 5 times table. And 39 is 13 multiplied by 3. So that leaves me with 2, 31 and 37. Question 2, half of 94 is 47. Question 3 is 83. Question 4 is 97. Question 5 is 9. Our parents versus kids challenge. Remember, like that review question yesterday, these are difficult. I'm going to explain it on the board in a moment. A is 150 centimetres, B is 120 centimetres, and C is 70 centimetres. That is a tricky question. It is a 5-mark question if you got them all right. If you got 2 right, you get 3 marks. If you get 1 right, you get 1 mark. Moving on to part 2. 82. Question 2 is 3. Question 1. Question 5 is 53. That's also off one of the really tricky questions on the SATS paper. Great for Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3 practice. Question 6 is 2. Question 7 is 14. Question 8 is 2. Question 9 is 3. And again, that parents versus kids challenge is 3.75 litres. Another really tricky question that you would get both at Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3. Last part, part 3. The first 5 multiples of 13 are 13, 26, 39, 52, and 65. We are effectively doing our 13 times table. Question 2, the cubed root of 125 is 5. 5 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 5 gives me 125. Question 3, the answer is 3. Question 4 is 20. 5 is 4. I will also accept -4. Again, we'll look at that on the board. Question 6 is 72. Question 7 is 9. And our parents versus kids challenge, we have 3 marks for this question. Again, I'm going to go through it on the board with a side length of 12 centimetres gives me an area. Brilliant. Okay, let's just mark off on our board. We are getting close to filling it up. We have not got too many numbers left. So let's just flip that down a little bit so you can see it properly. Okay, let's get the last, 10 more crossed off. Okay, if you've got your grid in your book, you can cross them out at the same time. So 37, that was the answer to question 1, part 1, one of the prime numbers. 47, which was half of 94. 83 is here. 97, all the way, sneaking down at the bottom there, if you can see that one. Look at part 2, see what numbers we've got on part 2. We've got 82 over here. We've got 91, which was the answer to part 4. We've got question 5. The answer was 53. And finally, part 3. I haven't got my helper, have I, to help me read these out. Hopefully, she will be back with us next week when I'm doing them live. Okay, so we had the first 5 multiples of 13. So 13, 26, 39, we did not have. 52, we did have, and 65. Okay, so any more? 72. That was the answer to 9 multiplied by 8 gives us 72. Okay. Wow, we're getting close to finishing it. And when we do, we're going to take them all off and start again. Okay, so when you've finished yours, just draw out another 10 by 10 grid so that you're ready for the next set of questions. Okay, let's go through some of those questions. Okay, so because I was in school today, I was able to grab an extra whiteboard pen. You may remember yesterday my whiteboard pen started to run out a little bit, so hopefully we've got all the equipment we need for today. So the first question I want to do, it's going to take a bit of time, but it's worth doing it slowly and carefully to make sure we understand it, is that bar modelling question. You might not read that question and think of it as bar modelling. It's the one about the plank of wood that was 3.4 meters long, and we were cutting it into 3 pieces, but all those pieces were different lengths. So here's my plank of wood. Okay. Right, we're going to call that A. And A, it tells us in the question, is 30 centimeters longer than B. Okay. So we don't know what B is yet, but we know that A is longer. It's 30 centimeters longer. All right. So if A is 30 centimeters longer than B, then B is just going to be this bit, okay? Let's make sure I draw it out so it's the same size. Now this is where we're going to use a little bit of algebra, okay? Because this one is B, I'm going to label it. I'm going to call it B. I could call it any letter I want. I could call it X, Y, P, Z, who cares? I'm going to call it B. So I know that this is B. Okay, and this is B as well. Remember, these two are the same, but this one is 30 centimeters longer. Now I'm going to look at C. Now this one's a bit confusing because this one is shorter. It's shorter than B. So I'm going to draw my B again. There's my B. It's exactly the same size. There's my B. That's B. But this time, C is smaller than B, and it tells me that it's 500 millimeters smaller or shorter than B. Now, what we need to do is make sure that we're using the same units. We've got lots of different units here. We've got meters, we've got centimeters, and we've got millimeters. So let's make sure we're using all the same units. We wrote down 30 centimeters here, so I think we should make sure that everything we write down is the same unit. So 500 millimeters, I need to divide that by 10 to convert it into centimeters. So I know that C, somewhere along the line, is 50. It doesn't matter. It's not drawn to scale. It's just representative. Okay, C is this bit here. It is 50 centimeters less than B. All right, I could actually write that inside here, that this bit is B minus, or B subtract 50. Right. Whew. We haven't got the answer yet, have we? But we do know that the total length of the plank of wood is 3.4 meters. Now we need to convert that meters into centimeters, so we're going to multiply it by 100. So we know that all of that together is 340 centimeters. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a little bit of algebra, and we're going to do something which is really clever, because we've taken a worded question and we're turning it into an algebraic expression. And then we can actually solve that by turning it into an equation, because we know that it equals 340 centimeters. So let's have a look and see what we've got. All of this here equals 340 centimeters. So I've got B, and I've got 30, and I've got another B. And here, remember, we've got to be really careful with this last one. It's this bit here, isn't it? It's this bit that we shaded. It's the B, but we're subtracting the 50. So we've got B, but we are subtracting 50, and all of that equals 340. And we've checked all our units are the same. We use centimetres for all of them, so we're happy. Okay, so we've formed our algebraic equation. Now we need to solve it. So let's have a look. So what we do is in algebra, we call it collecting like terms. We put the bits that are the same together. So the B's, I've got one B, I've got another B, and I've got another B. So I've got 3 B's. I don't know what B is yet. It's unknown. We've got to calculate it, but I know I've got 3 of them. So I can write 3B. All right, can you see that okay? Okay, I've got a positive 30. I've got a negative 50. So if I subtracted 50 from 30, I would end up with negative 20. And again, that would equal 340. Let me just bring this down a little bit so you can see the last bit of the calculation. So 3B, that's a B, not a 6. 3B subtract 20 is 340. We're nearly there. We're going to add 20 to both sides. Again, in algebra, we call that a balancing method. We have a set of scales, and what we do to one side, we must do to the other side. So we're going to balance our scales by doing the same thing to both sides. We're going to add 20 to both sides. So really small, I'm going to write down here plus 20. So I'll make sure I'm going the right way. So now I've only got 3B on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, I've got 360. I've also rather annoyingly run out of space. My last step is to divide both sides by 3. So squishing down at the bottom, I'm dividing both sides by 3, and hopefully you can just about see that B is 120 centimetres. Wow, that takes a long time, doesn't it? So we now know that B is 120 centimetres. 120 centimetres. And this bit B here is also 120. Remember, the question asks us for A and B and C. Let's just get rid of this bit here now. So therefore we can say that A was B plus 30, wasn't it? Which is 120 plus 30, which gives me 150 centimetres. Underlining our answers, do not forget your units, 150 centimetres. B is 120 centimetres because it is just B. And finally C, we know that's B, but we are subtracting 50. Remember, it was 50 less. So we've got 120 subtract 50. So the final bit is 70 centimetres. Okay, so that's a tough question, very long-winded. The kid who submitted this one to me and asked me to run through it is in year 5. Wow, can you imagine doing a question that hard in year 5? So I'm really, really impressed. It was Jake who submitted it, that he gave it a go. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, so we've got the right answer, but remember, in maths, we can normally check our own work to make sure we've got it right. So we can do a couple of quick things just to check. Firstly, we can add these up. 150 plus 120 plus 70. That gives me 340. Remember, I started with 3.4 metres. So, yep, we're happy with that. And then if I read the question again, remember, if B is 120, A was 30 centimetres more. Yep, happy with that. And C was 50 centimetres or 500 millimetres less. So again, yep, we're happy with that. You don't need me. You can check your own answer and you know you've got it right. Fantastic. All right, again, if you need to copy this down, I'll get you to pause. because I do need to clear the screen to do a couple more questions. Right, part 2, question 10. Again, the parents versus kids challenge, that really nice challenging question. We're going to look at that together. Okay. So let's have a look at how we would address this question. So we've got a machine that is pouring 250 millilitres of juice every 4 seconds. Right, so let's just write down what we know and see if we can do something with it. So in 4 seconds, we have 250 millilitres of juice. The question is, how many litres? So again, we've got that conversion going from millilitres to litres, and 1 minute. So we've got to convert from seconds to minutes. So how many seconds are in a minute? 60. Happy with that? So eventually we've got to get to 60 seconds. Now, some of you superstars might just look at that and say, well, I know the answer to that. 4 multiplied by 15 is going to give me 60. It's not always obvious. It's not always easy to do that. So you might want to just play around with the numbers a little bit. Can you make it a bit easier? So what you might do is you might say, well, maybe I'll work out what 2 seconds is. I could work out what 1 second is, but then I'm going to get some numbers that I don't like. So I want to make it as easy as possible. So I'm going to divide by 2. And in 2 seconds, that gives me 125 millilitres. So again, maybe now I could see to go from 2 to 60, I could multiply by 30, but that still might be a little bit hard to get our head around. So let's break it down again. So, well, hold on, if I multiply by 10, I can do that. That's quite easy. Multiplying by 10, that's going to give me 20 seconds. So I'm multiplying by 10. What am I doing? Running ahead of myself here. Multiplying by 10. Remember what you do to one side, you do to the other. Multiplying by 10. So now I've got 1250 millilitres. Okay, we're nearly there. We're nearly there. To get from 20 to 60, I'm going to multiply by 3. And I'm going to get 3750 millilitres of juice. Now, again, you could just go all the way from 4 to 60, but if you're not sure, just break it down and make it easier for yourself. We're almost there. But what we always do in maths is we reread the question. We just check, have we done it correctly? And when we reread the question, it reminds us that the question said to give our answer in litres. So remember, to get from millilitres to litres, we need to divide by 1,000. Okay, so that's going to give us 3.75 litres. All good? All right, so you'll get one of those to practice. Now, we are running out of time a little bit, aren't we, once more? So I'm going to do one more question. I'm going to do the negative numbers one quickly. So to do this, I'm going to get a number line to help me. So here's my number line. And on my number line, I don't need to write loads of numbers. I don't even need a 0 if I don't want one. I just need the numbers that they've given me. They've given me -7 and they've given me -4. The question was, what is the difference between -7 and -4? All right, if you draw, you can put a 0 there. Maybe that will help some people, but it's not necessary. So now we're looking at the difference between these two numbers. Oh, I'm sorry. It was -3, wasn't it? There we go. Between -7 and -3. So you can see the difference here is 4. -4, -5, -6. Okay? So the difference is 4. Remember I said that it was okay to say -4. It depends which way you go, whether you get a +4 or a -4, but both answers are correct. The difference between -7 and -3 is 4. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to put the review questions on. There's a couple more questions I'm going to follow up on tomorrow. One of them is the one with the hexagon and the square on it. So I'll do that first thing, not tomorrow. It'll be Monday now, won't it? Okay. And the other one I'm going to go through on Monday at the start is the one where Jack chooses a number, he multiplies by 7 and he does this and he does that. And you have to work backwards to find what his original number was. So let's pop your review questions up on the board now. That's all from me. Have an amazing weekend. If you haven't had a chance to write up the grid, I'll leave it on for you to do now, and I will see you Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.